Hello nerds, this is Gabby and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we are going to talk about my 10 favorite fantasy characters. Yes, in all fantasy, not just from books, in all kinds of media, movies, TV shows, anime, manga. You have no idea how hard it has been to narrow this list down to 10 characters, especially because all the series that I love, there are many characters I could choose from them, but for the sake of not being repetitive, I chose just one character per series. And for the sake of my sanity, I am just gonna rank my very favorite one because honestly, I cannot choose my least favorite and then go on that list. It's just too complicated. Let's get on with it. Number 10, Locke Lamora from the Daytime Ambassador series by Scott Lynch. Locke Lamora is not like your standard fantasy protagonist, if you could call it that. He is not a good guy. He's not very good at fighting or anything. He's a thief and he doesn't steal from people to give money to the poor or for some altruist reason. He loves money. He loves stealing. And he's not this strong guy. He's very scrawny and relies mostly on his best friend to do the fighting. But he's so damn clever. He is like the mastermind of all these complex schemes to rob from rich people. And it's amazing to see. He's so witty, and I love the relationship he has with his gang, especially with John Tannen, his best friend. I love their friendship. I've said it many times before in other videos. Locke and John's friendship is my very favorite in fantasy. And to be honest, in all fiction. Oh, and by the way, he is hilarious. They all are, actually. But I don't think I've ever laughed so much with any series, any book, than with this ones. Really. Locke Lamora is such an amazing character and is even better when he is with his best friend. Number 9, Locke and Nine Fingers from the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. This was a very hard choice because I couldn't decide between Glokta or Logan. But I'm really sticking with Logan because, oh my god, I've said this many times before in other videos. What I love most in books or in fiction in general is the relationships the characters build. I'm a very character-focused reader. And Logan, I love how he interacts with people. He is so clumsy with socializing, but he is such a softie inside, even though he is a beast. He is a monster when he is in his bloody nine state, and no one can really stop it. It can get really, really bad. But I eat up every time Logan interacts with Pharaoh, the way he interacts with Giselle, how he tries to be a leader. Is just so good. It's common knowledge that Joe Abercrombie's character work is fantastic and it shines so much in Logan's character, and I cannot wait to keep reading his character in the last book. Number 8, this one was hard because I have to choose from the Harry Potter series. And I love so many characters from that one. But I chose Hermione Granger. She is the badass from the Golden Trio. She is the brains of the 3 main characters and a powerhouse. She is such a complex character. Despite of what many people think, there are a lot of people that think that Hermione is just this smart girl that wants people approval. She wants to be the best at everything. And that is true, but there's so much more to her. And I love it. Let's put aside for a moment the fact that she is the brightest witch of her age. And let's think about her bravery, her extreme loyalty that makes her ruthless at times. She's prepared to go to any length to protect her friends and to get what she wants. Putting a very nasty curse on a piece of paper and making everyone sign it without telling them about it. Putting a reporter in a jar for writing nasty stuff. She deserved it. She pretty much blackmailed that same reporter. And she said, like, I have you here in my hand. And on the other hand, she's a very insecure girl. She comes from a Muggle family. She just came to know the wizarding world when she entered Hogwarts. So she is very eager to learn everything. She just wants to feel like she deserves to make people see her and believe that she deserves to be in this world as much as all the other kids. She is fantastic, and everyone knows that without her, Harry and Ron probably would have died in the first book. Number 7, Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. This was a hard choice as well. I was debating myself between Uncle Iroh, who I love dearly, and Zuko, but finally I decided to pick Zuko because his character arc is fantastic. And to be honest, the best redemption arc I've seen in fiction. And no one can change my mind about that. His journey is so interesting to see. He starts being this angry and frustrated kid that is so obsessed on capturing Aang to get his father approval after he banished him. And it's so hard for him to get out of that state of mind, if you could call it that. At some point, he starts trying to be better, but he stumbles over and over again because it's not easy to let go of your family ties and everything you were brought up to be. Number 6, Luffy from One Piece. Okay, so recently I've watched and read the entire series, or what's out already, and I fell in love with it so much more than I thought I would. But I'm gonna talk about the series in another video that I have planned. Let's talk about Luffy. He is such an amazing protagonist. He has to be one of the most lovable characters I've ever come across. He is funny, he is silly and simple and so single-minded. He is so honest, the perfect shonen protagonist. And at the same time, he is the most intelligent character, emotionally speaking, of course. Luffy understands people, usually even more than they understand themselves. And that is very interesting to see, because even though he's very single-minded, he wants to become Pirate King, and that is made very clear from the very beginning. But he's prepared to put aside his goal for a while to help people accomplish their dreams, as long as he thinks they are worth pursuing. He is not a hero. Even he says so at some point in the series. He doesn't want to save the world. He doesn't want to be recognized. He wants to be a pirate, have adventures, have fun with his friends, and find the One Piece. He actually at some point teams up with very, very bad people to get what he wants. And even with people that before hurt his friends, but he wants to get something, and he is about to do anything that is needed to do that. He is, and Luffy, he's just so much fun. Future Gabby here. I'm sorry, I forgot to note one of the most important things that I love about Luffy's character, and that is he's such a free soul. He values freedom above everything else in the world. And although his moral might be a little flexible, he's not like the righteous guy ever. He's very consistent throughout the series about the theme of freedom. He is about to go to any length necessary to defend people whose freedom has been taken or who's being controlled by someone else, because that is just unacceptable for him. And that includes his friends, foes, or anyone he comes across. Number 5, Vin from Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Vin is a teenager. She starts the series at 15, and she is an underdog. She has had a very tough life. She grew up in the streets. She was abandoned by his brother. Her mother tried to kill her. It's very difficult. but she's so powerful. She is a Mistborn. She can use all 10 metals in the magic system that exists in this world, which is allomancy, and she's so good at it. Vince's character arc in this series is fantastic. As she grew up in a very bad situation, she suffers from anxiety. She is very afraid of interacting and trusting people, and it's so amazing to see how she grows, how she becomes a more open person. She comes to care about other people. It's so amazing. As a teenager, she's a lot into her head and has a lot of internal monologues over the series about the same thing over and over again, and that can get a little bit tiring, but she's a teenager. That's what teenagers do. Vin is strong. She is brave. She is smart in a very intuitive way, and it's so amazing to see how she is about to go to any length to protect the people she loves. And she is just in the most badass scenes in the entire series. I love her character. Number 4, Anna Kyonyama from Shaman King by Hiroyuki Takei. This is a manga from the 90s that I love, but I hadn't seen or watched in many years, and now there's a reboot coming out and I've been loving it. Anna is the protagonist's fiance, and usually that wouldn't say much, but this woman is the one that drives the plot. She is smart and so collected. I love her demeanor. She bosses people around, and it's not a good idea to disobey her, actually. She is powerful as hell, and you know that from the very beginning. You don't want to mess around with Anna. And she's gonna be the wife of the Shaman King, and she's not gonna stop until she gets it, even if that means slapping the big baddie's face. But her character is not just about bossing around people or torturing you with her very special trainings. She's very insecure about her and her powers. She's afraid that she can't control them, and it's very hard for her to be around people and socialize with them in a normal manner, if you could say that. And she's not just wanting to be the Shaman King's wife because of the power. She loves Yo so much, and I love their dynamic and relationship. It's so hard in manga to find a romantic relationship that works, for me at least. She loves him, and she pushes Yo to be better and be happy, even though sometimes she pushes too hard. She is by far my favorite female character in anime and manga, and one of my favorite female characters in fiction. Number 3, Misaki Matsuda from The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. I read this book a couple of months ago and I loved it dearly, and a lot of that has to do with Misaki's character. She is not like other female characters I've ever read in fantasy, mainly because usually we follow teenagers or women in their early 20s or late 20s, but she's in her early 40s, I think, and she's a mom. She is a mom to 4 kids, and she is a housewife. Misaki is a very interesting character to follow. She has a bloody past that she doesn't want anyone to know about, because in her society, women are not supposed to fight. Women are supposed to get pregnant, have kids, and be in the house and serve their husbands. And even though she technically chose that life, it's not the one that she would like to live. And she's so miserable because of that. And it's very interesting to see this dynamic between mother and son that is very complicated, and her character questions so much motherhood. She feels lonely, her husband is not very loving, and Misaki struggles so much interacting with her children. This book questions a lot maternal instincts and how difficult can be for some women to get attached to their own children, and how that is not a crime. It's, I really love how maternity is how you say it, talked about in this book. And also she's a badass. There are so many good scenes of her in this book. Okay, so this video is already a mess. I recorded this a week ago, and yesterday I was editing and found out that although I was talking the entire time, I didn't record the last part of the video. So here I am. Number 2. So for the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, I could have chosen a number of characters. Could have chosen Delinar, who I think is the best written character in Sanderson's story so far. Hoyd, who is he's such an intriguing character. But I'm gonna go with Kaladin Stormblessed. So Kaladin is one of our main characters in the story. Some people could argue he is the very protagonist. I don't know about that, but he is very interesting to follow for a number of reasons. In the outside, you could say that he is our hero. He has a very strong hero complex that haunts him most of the time because he is so determined to protect the people he loves that when he's not able to do so, he spirals down. And that's when all the complexity of his character actually comes out, because Brandon Sanderson is very good at writing mental illness issues, and Kaladin is the very representation of that. He suffers from a very severe depression and PTSD, and it's so hard to see him try to go forward and stumble because it's not easy. I know that I suffer from depression, so I very much appreciate Brandon Sanderson's take on this, because depression is not something you can just brush off and keep going. It haunts you. It's difficult. And I don't know, this man just crafted this character with such a care for the subtleties of what's hard, what means to be in this position, you know? And all this is shown also on the relationship he builds with people. He goes all in. It's so interesting to see him deal with Delinar, his relationship with Syl. This brotherhood of Bridge 4 is such a beautiful depiction of friendship, and I love it. I love Kaladin's character, his growth throughout the series, and I'm very excited to see what's gonna become of his character in the next book. And on the number 1 spot, the only spot that is ranked because this is my favorite fantasy character of all time, is Killua Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. Hunter x Hunter is my favorite anime manga of all time. I love it more than a lot of things. And Killua Zoldyck's character arc, this 12-year-old kid, just keeps blowing my mind every single time I watch the series. Killua is not a normal kid. He is an assassin. He was trained by his family to be an assassin since he was 6. And he had to endure so much and is so lonely because of that reason as well. And on top of that, he's supposed to become the head of the family business at some point in the future, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to be a normal kid. From a power scale point of view, he is such a badass. He is powerful as hell. This kid means business, and I love to see him fighting. He has one of the coolest fighting scenes in the entire series, and how his power grow and change, his creativity to use his nen is fantastic, and I just love it. But what I love most about Killua's character is his emotional journey throughout the series. Killua's a very sensitive kid. His loneliness makes him crave for love and attention so damn bad that when he finds Gon and becomes friends with him, he latches onto him so bad because Gon is such a vibrant and loving personality, and that's what Killua wants. The thing is, his lack of self-worth makes him feel like he is in debt with Gon for offering his friendship, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining it well. Killua is in a constant emotional turmoil to get out of this darkness that he grew up in and become a worthy friend for a person like Gon. What he doesn't understand is that he already is. He is one of the best friends you could ever have. And oh my god, it just gets me so hard. I don't know, man. Killua gets me in a level that none other character can do. I feel for him in such a deep level. I just break every time I watch the series. Oh, and he is the smart part of the duo. Gon doesn't think things through very often, so Killua does, and he does it wonderfully. I love him. I love his character arc so freaking much. He is my favorite fantasy character of all time, and I very much recommend you to watch or read Hunter x Hunter. It's fantastic. It's a masterpiece of storytelling and characterization, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with me on that. So those were my 10 favorite fantasy characters of all time. This video was a real mess. I know, I'm sorry about that, but I would love to keep chatting with you about this in the comments. Let me know your opinions. What do you think about the characters that I just mentioned? What are your favorite fantasy characters? I would love to discuss that with you guys. And don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more content. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the future.